Hey everyone, I'm back for my final video of the evening, which is Love and Hip Hop Season 5, Episode 9. And, this show is starting to exhaust me. Like, Brooke is a bitch. Like, she's just a bitch. I really liked Brooke last season. Well, okay, let me just get into this review. Okay, so Teairra and Brooke meet up. And right off rip, when I saw that Brooke wanted to meet up with Teairra, I was like, oh shit. Because we know that Brooke has been real shady all season. She's been shady to everyone that she calls a friend this season, with the exception of Bridget. And I really think it's because Bridget has been booked and busy and not had time to hang out with Brooke. So they meet up, and Brooke does take the time to explain to Teairra how she originally met Akbar, which was in the grocery store with her son. And she said he was very charismatic, that he was like, hey mom, she's with her mom and her son. Hey mom, how's it going? Touching her son, like rubbing her son's curls, all this stuff. And she said she dodged him because he was like, a creep, because he is. But she has many friends that have approached her and been like, oh my god, I met this great guy with green eyes and he drives a G-Wagon, and, this is kind of his MO. He is a predator. Like, he's a man that hangs out in grocery stores and looks for vulnerable women. And Brooke kind of breaks down to Teairra that, like, you were known. If people wanted to look for you, people could. And for a man like him that preys on women and their weaknesses, Brooke believes that he sought Teairra out for a reason, to take advantage of her. And Teairra says that she knew after rehab she shouldn't have been dating, which, yeah, that is one of the number one things, tools that they give you in most, in most rehabs. They suggest that you don't date for the first year of your sobriety, because relationships are tumultuous and they have a lot of emotions and ups and downs, and that could drive somebody to backslide a bit. But she decided to date anyways, and she knows how to choose them, obviously, and she ended up with him. But Brooke questions Akbar and Teairra's relationship as well, because they rolled footage of Teairra in bed with Akbar after all this shit went down, which plays back into my theory that this shit is fake as fuck. Like, I still think that Teairra, in conjunction with Akbar, leaked this tape. But, even Brooke questions whether or not it was a publicity stunt, to which, Teairra vehemently denies to the fact, and says as a backup, but to me as a way to cover her ass, that to prove she didn't leak this tape, she is suing Akbar in court. And I'm like, that doesn't prove you didn't leak the tape. That just proves that you're doing something about the tape being leaked. But it doesn't prove that you didn't leak it. It sounds like, damage control. So, Teairra does say none of her friends want to attend this conference, which to me also lends itself to the narrative that this is fake. Nobody on that show is important enough to have a brand that they don't want associated with Teairra in this sex tape, because if Kim Kardashian was on this show and she wanted support from these females, trust and believe every single one of them would be sitting there front row and center faking tears for her. It's because they don't believe Teairra either, and I think they don't want to fool around with her and her shenanigans. So that's my opinion. But Brooke says she'll go support Teairra at the press conference, and I was like, girl, beware. Brooke doesn't have a friend to her name right now, and she's shady as a motherfucker. You need to not count her as a friend. She is a serpent in the grass. So, Teairra's like, oh my god, thank you so much, girl. I have nobody having my back, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you idiot. So, Apple Watch is at a video shoot with some unknown guy that's like a backup singer, with Amber Diamond. And they bring up Rockstar, and Amber tells Apple, yeah, that's her name, Apple, all about, the situation with, Rockstar, and how he basically humiliated her in her lack of vocal talent. And Apple tells, Amber about her situation and how she had an experience with Akbar, with Rockstar, and how he's a cornball and, really not about that. And she says that she envies the support Amber has in her mom because Apple doesn't have anybody to support her. She's just out here trying to make it. And Amber brings up the fact that she thinks her mom should manage Apple, to which I was like, I don't think this is a good idea, but we shall see how it plays out. Amber's mom strikes me as like a big red type character from the Five Heartbeats, like she's shisty, and like she will get these young girls that are out here trying to make something of themselves into these contracts where she's getting like 80% of the bands, as she likes to call it. She gave Rockstar 20 bands. I'm like, lady, if you don't save $20,000 at your damn age, I know you had kids at 14, but enough. Enough is enough. But anyways, she does strike me as the type of person to take advantage of somebody like Apple Watch. So that's to be determined. Bridget is performing in space, I don't know what you want to call it, a song from her new album, which, like I said before, I think Bridget Kelly has a decent voice. She had a lot of good songs back in the day. I discovered her on YouTube, like probably in 2007, 8, and I think she sounded great back then. But she wants to, Brooke is there with her fiance Marcus, and she wants to talk to Moniece about Teairra because she feels like Teairra doesn't have any friends and she could use a friend, and she knows her and Moniece used to be friends, and she thinks Moniece should show up at the press conference. And Moniece is apprehensive at first because her and Teairra haven't been exactly friendly, but at the same time she wants to be there for Teairra because, again, she's gone through this situation herself and she knows how this stuff goes. So Bridget tells all the girls that she's headed to London to promote her album, which plays into my previous theory. I don't know if I said it in a Love and Hip Hop review or another review, but people overseas, because what she said is that people in London go up for her, which I'm not surprised. They go up for everybody. I could release a track of my dog barking on a trap beat and it would probably hit the iTunes top 100 charts in Europe because, Europeans, and this is no shade, like they will dance to anything with a beat. That's just how they are, So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. That's how I feel. I'm prepared to argue about this as well, so don't come for me. But she invites all the girls to go to London with her. Jay Will shows up and he pulls Moniece to the side to talk about the whole Pride gig that he had and how, Mr. Ray and them, they weren't feeling it, and how Brittany got the gig and he doesn't feel she deserved it. And Moniece automatically decides this is the time to bring up that she heard that Brittany had sex with A1. And she also meets up with Rockstar at this same event and says that she wants to go back into the studio. And I mean, we've heard Monique in previous seasons hit a note or two, but it was never nothing that left me like with a great impression. So I'm also under the impression that her and Rockstar fucked because she says that she's known him for years, and he said that he knows her inside and out, and he made a creepy face after her. And we know he's a sleazeball, so I'm not putting this past those two. Oh god, Teairra's at this press conference. One of Akbar's concubines was there, the Latin one. She was there, and she says that she released the tape. And she's like, girl, you are a day late and $2 short. Like, if you wanted to say that you released this tape, you should have said that when this shit first happened. Don't nobody care. Like, you sound nuts. So she says that and promptly walks away, goes off into an elevator. And Teairra gives an emotionless statement to the press. Like, again, there's no distress in her face. There's no tears. I just don't believe you, Teairra. I don't think you're a good actress. I don't believe anything about this. And Paris and Nikki are watching on TV while eating popcorn. And Teairra says she's basically suing because, again, otherwise it'll look like she released the tape. Like, you're on TV saying this. So you don't look super credible. And Lisa Bloom, I'm sure you gave her a retainer. She's just doing her job. Doesn't mean she necessarily believes you. So then they flash to K. Michelle. And she's watching the press conference, and she thinks that this is a lot like the Mimi Nico situation, that people are playing, reality TV stars are now hoping for the Kim K thing to work out for them, where they accidentally have a sex tape released and boom, they're catapulted to stardom. The thing is, Kim K invented that technique. I mean, celebrity sex tapes existed long before Kim K. I mean, I think the first one I ever heard about was Pamela Anderson and Tommy Lee, and I just probably aged myself. But I mean, celebrity sex tapes have been around for a long time. Kim K and her momager were smart enough to, I guess, market her as that being her brand in the beginning. And the shit is just, it's played out. Like, we've seen this, Mimi, it got her a hot 5 seconds of fame. And now she's on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, barely with a storyline. Now she's gay. And in a relationship with the WNBA player. So it's just like, you guys got to find a new vehicle to fame, and I'm with K. Michelle on this one. I think that Teairra, if that was your plan, which it seems like that may have been the case, this did not play out in your favor. Now you just look foolish. But Kay plans on meeting up with Akbar because it sounds like he sells studio time or he books studio time. I'm not going to give him enough credit to think that he's any kind of producer or heavy hitter in the music industry. But she plans on meeting with him for business, and she's going to address this with him. And Brooke tells Teairra that after the press conference wraps up, Teairra's thanking Moniece and Brooke for showing up for her, blah, 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 fake, fake, fake. And Brooke tells Teairra that Latina concubine said that she leaked it. And Teairra's like, no, she didn't, because Teairra knows she didn't leak it because Teairra leaked it. But Teairra says she knows she didn't leak it and that she is just trying to protect Akbar because they're brainwashed by him and they'll do anything for him. So Teairra, Moniece, and Brooke are hanging out at Brooke's house, having a girls' pool day after the fact. And I'm just like, Teairra, I know you're on the outs with Paris and Nikki right now, but Brooke is not your friend. Brooke is nobody's friend. And I think Brooke has gotten desperate this season with Boobie gone. She had no storyline. She's in a love triangle last season. And with Boobie gone, she had no storyline other than Marcus and his cheating ways. And she loves him too much and is too psychotic over him to use that as her storyline because she's too jealous of other women. So instead, her goal is to screw everybody else over in this episode and this season. Like, she's just getting progressively worse each episode to the point where I'm almost hoping somebody takes off on her at the reunion because I feel she deserves at this point. But Moniece asks why Paris and Nikki didn't show up, and Teairra says that Paris don't really deal with lawyers and stuff, and Nikki just didn't come. And they just conclude that Nikki's kind of a bad friend. Moniece agrees with Teairra in the fact that it's kind of all about Nikki, and they're always there for her, but when it's time for her to be there for other people, she's too selfish for that. And it's like, you guys, her entire body is made out of plastic. It probably leaked into the part of her brain that causes emotion, and she is not capable of that now. Like, she's a plastic Barbie. Friends to people like Nikki are accessories. They're not, friendships are not something that are deep with her or made to last in the long run. They're just accessories. She doesn't really care about you guys, and that's essentially what she's showing in her actions. But let's see. Teairra, she says that she stood by Nikki in her sex tape scandal. And I always forget that Nikki had one. I think that guy, that Baldy that she was dating in season 1, that her and Masika were fighting over. What, Molly Mally Mal, whatever. That guy. I think he released something of her back in the day. But, Moniece tells them about her studio session and how she's anxious about going back into the studio, and Brooke decides to invite herself to help Moniece. And I was suspicious of this from get, because Moniece doesn't really need help. Her cousin is one of the most sought after vocal coaches in period. if his name is Stevie Mackey, if she really needed vocal assistance, I'm sure she could reach out to him. This just seems to me off jump very opportunistic of Brooke, but trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, I was like, okay, maybe she's really trying to be friends with this girl. So I didn't think much of it. You know, I was just trying to play devil's advocate. But my other thing was like, Brooke, what kind of help could you be to her? Because again, I think the last hit we heard from you was Girl Fight, and I had just gotten out of high school when that song came out. I haven't heard anything current from you. I haven't heard you write for anybody, produce, hum, do, re, mi, nothing. So what help could you be offering Moniece that she cannot get from her cousin? That's all I'm asking. You know, this is a valid question. But they invite Teairra to London and she accepts, and I was just like, skirt, isn't this Bridget's trip? Don't you think you should clear this through Bridget before you just start inviting people on her, you know, press tour? But whatever. So K. Michelle meets up with Akbar and his snaggle teeth. You know, this man just isn't even all that cute for these girls to be acting so dumb over. His hairline is busted. It starts like way back here. His lineup is fucked up. He weirdly has no hair like on the side. I don't know. Like, he's just, nothing about him is like attractive. So he must have the gift of charisma in order, well, you know, his wife, the one he claims is his wife, she ain't all that attractive anyway. But, you know, Latina concubine, she could probably get her a little poppy or somebody, like, get you a rock star. Like, at least rock star, he's, like, if you want to go for sleazeballs, he's a sleazeball. But he's better looking to me and more clean looking than Akbar. Akbar looks like he smells like Hennessy and bad decisions. But, K. Michelle meets with him, and they act like they're going to talk about business, and then she just cuts right to the chase about the sex tape. And, you know, she asked him about that, and he says it wasn't porn because Teairra couldn't take the D. And I'm just like, you're disgusting. Like, again, he is the type of nigga that I would pay to see him get stomped out by, like, you know, some goons on like 160th and Crenshaw. Like, he's just gross. Like, and for him to say something like that, you know, it's just like, I don't know what else to say about this, because I do still believe Teairra had something to do with this, but the fact that he's still like being so disgusting about it, he's just the lowest of the low. And the fact that any woman would lower themselves to be with a man like this, I just feel sorry for them. And he tries to, you know, he says that he wanted to bring Teairra into his lifestyle, that she was broken, and he wanted to make her feel better about herself by bringing her into the harem. And he proceeds to hit on K. Michelle, who promptly swerved on that. And she decides to pass on working with him, which makes me believe she was never interested in the first place. She was just trying to get the tea. And the next scene is Amber Diamond apologizing to her mom. And her mom, you know, feels like she doesn't really want to manage her anymore, but she wants to be more of a mom to her. And her, you know, they bring up Apple Watch, and her mom's first impression of Apple Watch was seeing her on Instagram picking up a bottle with her butt. And that is a talent, okay? I can barely do Kegels, let alone pick up a whole bottle with my butt cheeks. That's talent. I don't care what you say. That's talent. But, Apple arrives and they discuss business, and Apple says that she casually slides in that she's, you know, had some problems with the law and she's got to go to jail next month. And I was like, ooh, god dang, I wasn't expecting you to say that, but you know, Shun, I think that's her name, Shun, which is Amber's mom, can relate to Apple and her struggles, because she had 3 kids by the time she was 18, and she didn't have nobody to help her, and she decides to manage Apple and ask for her social security number, date of birth, and all this stuff in order to make a contract. And I was like, ooh, see, the way she promptly asked for all that information instead of saying, let's get together next month or next week or next month, even when you get out of jail and talk business, I think she's big red. I really do. I think that this isn't going to be good, and I don't trust her. But Nikki and Paris, they're out to brunch, and Teairra wasn't invited. And Paris invites Nikki to London. Again, is nobody going to check with Bridget? Like, this is Bridget's trip. God, I mean, I'd be annoyed if I was Bridget. But anyway, Teairra shows up to brunch anyway because she basically says Nikki throws her brunch at the same place every week. And Teairra asked Nikki, like, where were you at on the day of my press conference? And she's like, at the hospital with my dad, Teairra. And I was like, girl, didn't we see you on TV watching the press conference, eating popcorn with that wig? And Paris, like, don't lie. And don't lie on your dad and his health. Like, unless she was watching the press conference and then went to see her dad, or saw her dad and then watched the press conference. At any rate, she's lying. Like, no, you didn't. And that's fucked up, And Teairra was like, oh, so we bring in family into it because I was there for you with your drama when my mom was sick in the hospital, and when your brother died, I was there for you. And Nikki really didn't have much to say. She was just sitting there looking stupid. And, they argue, and then Nikki stated that she's scared that Akbar might come for her to get back at Teairra or to get back at the whole group. And I thought this was odd because you've never had any interactions with the guy. He would have no grounds to sue you on. So I'm not sure why you think he would come after you. I think Nikki may have had some run-ins with Akbar and she's not being forthcoming about that, but we'll see. Moniece kind of plays a peacemaker and tries to salvage everything with everybody, and they all apologize, and they leave it at that. So J. Will meets up with LaBrittany. He wants to talk. She's at rehearsal for Pride, and he wants her to quit the show. And I was in my head like, no, ma'am. J. Will, I'm sorry that you did not get booked, but why you gotta stop my money? Like, that has nothing to do with LaBrittany, and I'm not even a fan of LaBrittany like that, but J. Will, you're being a bit overreactive. Like, sis, it's fine. Like, move on to the next show. But out of nowhere, he just starts coming for her and telling her that she's, he can't compare with her because she can't compete and her pussy has miles on it. And just out of nowhere, brings up the fact that she tried to fuck A1. And, then he throws Moniece under the bus and it was like, Moniece told me that. Then he starts saying a fake prayer for her pussy. She's praying for him. It was a bizarre scene, and I'm ready to move on. It was a bizarre, fake scene. Like, it was terrible. So, Moniece is in the studio with Rockstar, and she's not sounding great. She sounds like there's no life in her voice, like she's uninspired. And, just as a side note, I know that Moniece smokes cigarettes, which can affect your voice, well, does definitely affect your voice. But she also seems off, and as a healthcare professional, she seems to me like she's on mental health drugs. Like, she seemed like the lights were on almost and nobody was home. And Brooke arrives with her blue lipstick, and she starts, they call Moniece out of the booth, and they start sessioning with her like you do in the studio, and they're going over the song, and Brooke, Moniece is humming along and trying to put the melody to the song, and Brooke just comes out of nowhere and Mariah carries her ass and like overshadows her. So Moniece is like, okay, we'll give the song to Brooke. Like, I'm over this shit. And Brooke is like, no, like, I'm here to help you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Like, this bitch is shady as fuck. I knew from that moment she knew exactly what she was doing. And, they play back Moniece's track, and she sounds even worse on the playback than she did when she was actually recording it. And Brooke is like, well, let me go in the booth and try to help you. And I think it just all, with whatever was going on with Moniece mentally, as far as medication goes, because I still think she was on something, and feeling insecure and overwhelmed, she starts to have a panic attack. And they call the paramedics, and they arrive. And while the paramedics are in the booth trying to figure out what's going on with Moniece, she does tell them that she's on a new medication, or one of her medications has been changed. And Rockstar and Brooke are outside of the booth, like on the sound area, talking shit about the situation. And then they turn on the sound in the booth which is, you know, revealing what the paramedics are saying to Moniece, and, you know, they're speculating on if she's actually going to go to the hospital and how they think she's full of shit. And I'm just like, God, there was just so many things wrong with that, and not one of them went back there to check and make sure she was okay or call her girlfriend or anything. And I was like, God, people are such snakes. You know, I don't know if that was a fake scene or not, but I pray to God it was, because that girl was completely alone. It was really sad. And then when they do take her in the ambulance, Brooke gets in the booth. Rockstar tells Brooke to get in the booth, and Brooke gets in the booth to record the song, and that's where the episode ends. I don't know, you guys. Brooke is a shady bitch, and I know Moniece is crazy. I can't wait to see this reunion, because I already know it's going down. So be sure to drop down in the comments. Let me know what you thought about Brooke and how she's moving these days. And make sure you like this video and hit that bell so you don't miss a review, and subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys next week with more reviews.